Segment 2, Trying to Fix It. February 2008, President George W. Bush signs into law $168 billion stimulus package. This is almost entirely tax rebates. October 2008, Bush signs into law the Emergency Economic Stabilization Act, a major component of which is the $700 billion Troubled Asset Relief Program, or TARP. Grade the Bush administration's response to the crisis.
Well, mixed, I would say. I mean, I don't know if I'm a teacher. I usually give A, B, C, and D. I wouldn't get an A, but I wouldn't give them a C either. I would give them somewhere in the B minus. Partly because it caught everybody unaware. So, how to react to it. We weren't prepared in reaction to it, whether it would have been Bush or anybody else in power. I think we weren't prepared.
So if the president had called the University of Chicago Department of Economics and said, Dr. Becker, convene your colleagues, let me know in 24 hours what I should do, I'll do it, you wouldn't have been able to tell him.
We might have told him some things, but I don't think we would have had it perfect. Let me put it that way.
All right.
I don't think we would have had it perfect. First of all, it wasn't clear, and I'll say for myself, it wasn't clear to me initially how much the financial difficulties, which eventually became a crisis, would spill over into the real economy. I mean, sometimes there are financial problems and the real economy doesn't suffer so much. And for a while, it looked like that was going to be the situation in the United States. That was uncertain. In terms of the overall things that the Bush administration did, I generally believe tax cuts are good. I think they're better than government's increased spending. So if I had to say which stimulus do I prefer, I'd certainly prefer the tax cuts that the Bush administration did than the stimulus package that the Obama administration eventually did pass.
Let me just get that out. February 2009, President Obama signs into law $787 billion American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which we all refer to casually as the stimulus bill. That's now up to something like $800 billion. Two intriguing facts about that to me. By August 2009, only about a fifth of that had been spent. As we tape this, only two-thirds has been spent. Okay.
Well, first of all, it's long been known in the business cycle literature that fiscal stimulus in terms of government spending are bad counter-cyclical policies because they take very long to get implemented. You have to first not only decide on the amount, how they're going to be spent, and so on. And no government has a whole backlog of projects that they can immediately implement. So even if you think fiscal stimulus in principle are a good idea, we know they don't work out very well because of the long legs in getting them spent. And we saw that in this episode. Secondly, the problem with the stimulus package that was passed was that it was directed, it was mainly not so much a stimulus package, although that's what it was called, but it was an attempt to reorganize parts of the American economy in terms of the sectors that Congress and the President believe were underfunded, not too little employment or too much unemployment, but underfunded. They really wanted to see expanded. That's true why they supported, the energy programs within that, alternative energy sources. They supported higher education support and educational programs. They supported R&D. Some of those may have been worthwhile. They had very little to do with stimulating the economy because these weren't sectors that had much unemployment. So if, let's say, you increase research on wind power, well, you're going to draw people who were doing research or engineering from other activities. These weren't unemployed people. Right. Unemployment is still, as in all recessions, heavily concentrated among the low-skilled, the low-educated people. The educated people, the college graduates, have really quite low unemployment compared to others. The long-term unemployment, which is a serious problem when you deal with unemployment, is concentrated among the less educated and the low-skilled. The stimulus package wasn't addressing their needs. So I thought at the time that it would be a failure. I still think it's a failure. It's not easy to get hard evidence to evaluate what the effect of the stimulus was on employment and so on. A lot of the claims that it created X many jobs is complete nonsense. They're counting anybody who's employed by the stimulus without saying, well, what would they have been doing otherwise?
Right.
And that's the real test. So I think most of that stuff is worthless. And it'll take a while before we really be able to evaluate. But my own belief has been that it was a failure. It spent a lot of money and didn't do much in terms of creating jobs.
Gary, you mentioned that you prefer tax cuts.
I do believe that tax cuts are the right way to attack not only a serious recession that we had, but also in what I consider really the primary problem for the U.S. economy. How can we speed up the long-term rate of growth so that, given that we have this debt, given that we have the entitlements coming up, that the economy will grow enough and we can keep spending from growing quite as rapidly, that if we can increase the rate of growth of the long-term rate of growth of the economy by 0.5% per year, I think we can handle most of our debt problems pretty well and yet have a much better economy.